Before you watch this video, make sure that you watched already the one discussing about path names, okay, relative versus absolute path names, because we are going to rely on that concept and we are not going to re-explain it in this video, okay. What this video is going to focus on instead is moving around the file system. So there are four basic built-in commands from the bash shell that allow you to move around the file system. So we are going to learn to do with the Linux command line interface, the Linux CLI, what you've already done, by using any graphical user interface based file explorer already on your Linux distribution. So with a file explorer, it's easy. You just click on the folder you want to go in. Well, as a command line, it's not really that more difficult. We have a current working directory that we can display anytime by issuing the command pwd. So that's telling us pretty much where we are located in the file system. So in this case, slash, that's the root of the file system, /home/tux. Okay, so subfolder home under the root, subfolder tux under home, and we can here, see what's in our current working directory. So now, what if we want to move around? Well, moving around just means that we want to change what the shell sees as our current working directory. That's just that simple. To do so, we have a built-in bash command named cd, appropriately named since it stands for change directory, and it's also the same thing that you have seen if you have used your command line on Mac OS or Windows even, okay? Every OS out there seems to have accepted the fact that cd means change directory, which is a good thing. So you type cd, a space, to separate the command name from the arguments you're going to specify, and then you specify a path name. So it can be an absolute path name, for example, cd/. Okay, and now first you can see that the prompt of the shell itself will tell you, well, you were in your home directory, which it abbreviated with the tilde symbol we already discussed in a previous video, and now you are in the root of the file system, so which I refer to as slash. Okay, so if I do ls now, yes, I have indeed been moved. Okay, I have moved to the slash folder, which is the root of the file system, and I can use any other absolute path, for example cd/home/tux/downloads. Then I look what's there. Well, not much here. Okay, cd/home/tux/ I don't remember where I would be able to find interesting stuff. Well, of course, something related to a current project. So yes, I'm going to find more stuff here. Okay, so any absolute path name will work, and as you probably already guessed, any relative path name will also work. Most notably, I can do something like, well, if I want to refer from here, okay, my current working directory right now is /home/tux/evoparsons/test. Okay, if I want to get the ls of everything that's located in, for example, /home, I can do that with a relative path that says, okay, go to the parent folder, so I'm talking about tux, then go to the parent folder again, so now I'm talking about home, all right, and tell me what's there. Enter. And the only thing that's in /home is actually one folder for the single user created on that system, which is tux. Okay, so we can build the same way everything that we saw about building like path names that are relative, absolute, even like cd ones, like for example, I want you to ls what's here, what's here, what's here, what's here. And then to make it even sillier, go back to the parent and then come back into this folder. Well, all of this boils down to ls, the current working directory, or ls, this directory. All of those notations are equivalent. This one obviously is a little more silly, okay? But nonetheless, if you can make sense of it, you will correctly deduce that it's referring to the current folder in which you already are. Okay, so we can use all of that, those path names as command to ls. We can use them, and I'm going to recall with the upper row this line, we can use them also to do cds. And obviously, if that path name means just the current working directory, you can see the cd didn't change much, okay? I'm still under my home folder, home directory, inside the evoparsons/test subfolder, and same thing here, okay? So cd has all of those possibilities just because as every other command in the shell, it understands the notion of path name, relative path name, absolute path name. That's actually something that's handled by the shell. So now we have over a few little things that are interesting with cd. So if we type cd, and then we do not pass any parameter, by default, that means that is interpreted as change directory back to my home directory. So you can see that we are back in /home tux. We are back in the prompt in the shell shows us that we are back in our home directory with that little tilde symbol. Okay, so doing cd like this or cd tilde, okay, or tilde slash, whatever you want, the same thing. Okay, it's going to bring you back to your home directory, no problem. There's another one that is interesting. Let's say that I do cd evo parson test, okay, and then I go to psi fx. Okay, so I'm deep in a folder hierarchy somewhere in my home directory, and then I go back to my home directory itself. I do some stuff here, blah blah blah, and then I want to go back to the last folder in which I was. So that means that we keep track, right? We keep track of I was in that folder as my current working directory, then I move here, then I move there. So there's the shell is keeping track pretty much of your successive current working directories. And there is a very convenient shortcut with cd, is cd minus as argument. So don't confuse the minus and the tilde, okay? Depending on the resolution of this video, you might have to zoom in or get closer to the monitor to see the difference, but these are indeed different options, different shortcuts. The tilde means your home directory, but the minus means I want to go back to the previous current working directory I was in before to have landed here, which is, here is tilde. And the previous current working directory I had before tilde was home directory /evo parson test /psifx. So the minus is interpreted here as, negative, go back in time, go back to the previous, current working directory you were in. So if I type cd minus, it's going to display for me what folder I'm headed toward, and then you can see that the shell here confirms that now my current working directory is indeed, /home /tux /evo parson test /psifx. So I did move back to the previous working directory in which I was. Now, I don't know how often you are going to use the following trick that I'm going to mention. It's a feature of the bash shell that allows you to even more explicitly manipulate, that history of where you have been. So there are 3 different built-in commands. So you know that we can check that a command is built-in by just typing its name after the type command, which is itself a built-in. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to confirm that the 3 commands we're going to talk about are indeed bash shell built-ins. There are dirs, pushd, push directory, and popd, pop directory. So those of you who already took data structure class, something like that, heard about the data structure named stack, okay? So push and pop are generally operations that are performed on a stack. So when I call dirs, it's going to tell me, here is the content of your current stack of directory names. And by default, what I see here is my current working directory. So what is a stack? A stack is a sequence of strings, for example, of directory name or of employee record, whatever. It's a sequence of bits of information, right? And the specificity of a stack is that you can push information onto a stack, which means you are going to, for example, here, I'm going to push the name /home onto my directory stack. And it tells me, okay, your stack now contains /home, and then what it contained before. So pushing means adding new information at the beginning of the sequence, okay? And I can keep doing that, pushd /home /tux. So I could put any name, right? Any folder name, any directory name here, okay? They just get added pretty much, on your stack here. And then you have the opposite operation, which is popd. And the purpose of popd is 2 things. So in terms of stack, popping information from the stack means removing the leftmost information, okay? So if I do, like for example here, if I do, okay, display my stack and then popd, it's going to remove, actually from the stack, the last information that was added on the left. So you see that here I did pushd/stux, okay? So my previous stack consisted of the folder name /home and then the folder name home directory /evo%test psifx. When I did my pushd of /home/stux, I added at the front here another element, so I have now 3 elements, and that element is just tilde, which is a shortcut for my home directory, which happens to be /home/tux. So the shell was smart enough to realize that /home/tux is my home folder, so it noted it with a tilde. When I did dirs to see what was on my stack, it listed the same elements, okay, which is my home directory, and then /home, and then /evo%test psifx. Please note that when I was doing those pushd operation, right, okay, I also moved. So when I did the pushd of /home, I ended up here in /home. When I did after that the pushd of /home/tux, I added /home/tux, which is pretty much my home dir, to the directory stack, and I also moved into my home dir. Okay, when I do dirs, I don't move. It just reminds me of what's in my stack of directory name. Now, when I did a popd, I removed the leftmost, the first entry of that sequence of directory name that I call my directory stack, and then I went there. Okay, so that's actually I was already on tilde. So when I popd, I removed tilde. Now my topmost information was /home, sorry, and then I went there automatically. So guess what? What's going to happen if I do again popd? All right. So if I do popd, you can see that I removed that /home, from my stack of directory name, of folder names, and then I moved to the next one that was in the stack, which is tilde evo%test psifx. Okay, so popd here, it told me I remove the leftmost element. I'm left with that in the stack of directory name. I'm going to move you there for free, and now I'm here. And if I ask, what is in my stack of directory names right now? Well, only the current working directory. So I added some stuff to that stack. I removed it. Is this an option that is used a lot? Depends what you are doing. It's convenient if you are jumping around in your file system, let's say between 2 or 3 locations. So for example, you are here in a location that corresponds to a project you are working on. At the same time, you want to actually, go to /etc, which is a folder on your Linux file system where a lot of configuration information about your entire system is stored. So let's say, for example, you are messing up with /etc/Firefox a lot. Okay, so you are jumping back and forth between this folder here inside your home directory and a specific project you're working on, and for some reason you need to constantly go and modify things also in /etc Firefox. Well, this is a use case where you might want to consider using those built-in functions, okay, pushd, popd, and dirs, so that you can just put on your stack, the name of those 2 folders that you use a lot and move back and forth between them without having to retype, constantly the whole name. But that is something that you might encounter more if you're doing, I guess, sysadmin type of tasks, possibly if you're doing some development tasks that involve managing your project from the command line. But other than that, it's not, I would say, a very, very critical feature to master when you are just doing your first contact with a Linux system and a Linux command line. But that's pretty much it for the material we had to cover about just moving around in the Linux file system from the Linux command line interface.